This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. CNN debate fallout. Biden plummets, Trump soars in betting markets. The recent CNN presidential debate has had a significant impact on election betting markets. President Joe Biden's chances of winning the 2024 presidential election have plummeted following his widely panned performance. Betting markets show that Biden's chances of re-election have dropped to 19%, down from 36% before the debate. Conversely, former President Donald Trump's chances of winning have risen to 55%, a new high. The debate performance was widely criticized, with many analysts saying Biden failed to reassure Americans that he is up to the job at his age. This has led to calls for the Democratic Party to consider alternative candidates, with some analysts suggesting it's unlikely Biden will be replaced unless he agrees to step aside. Additionally, betting markets have seen a surge in interest in alternative Democratic candidates, such as California Governor Gavin Newsom and Vice President Kamala Harris, whose odds of winning the Democratic nomination have increased significantly. The uncertainty surrounding Biden's candidacy has led to a significant shift in the betting markets, with Trump's odds of winning the election rising by 4.1% in the last 24 hours. Biden's odds, on the other hand, have dropped by nearly 15 points. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Oklahoma and Louisiana schools mandate Bible and 10 Commandments in classrooms. Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters has announced that all schools in the state must include the Bible and the 10 Commandments in their educational programs. Walters emphasized the significance of the Bible in shaping the foundation of the United States during a state Board of Education meeting. Under this new directive, every classroom from grades 5 to 12 must have a Bible, and all teachers are required to incorporate teachings from it into their lessons. Teachers who refuse to comply with this mandate could face severe consequences, including the revocation of their teaching license. This move aligns with a similar law in Louisiana that mandates the display of the 10 Commandments in public classrooms. Despite support from some quarters, such as the Interfaith Alliance, there are opposing views, with the alliance deeming this directive as religious coercion that has no place in public schools. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. FDA test reveals bird flu in raw milk. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has released new test results showing that bird flu virus has been found in milk processing plants. The FDA collected and tested 275 bulk samples of raw milk from farms where birds had tested positive for H5N1 or bird flu. Out of those samples, half were positive for traces of the influenza virus, and a quarter of the positive samples were confirmed to be infectious. However, the FDA also confirmed that the commonly used flash pasteurization method fully neutralizes the virus. This method involves heating the milk to 161 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. The FDA emphasized that the milk tested was not going directly to store shelves, but they expressed concern over the potential exposure to raw milk, as some states allow its sale for human or animal consumption. The FDA has long recommended against consuming raw milk due to potential contamination. The agency has urged states to warn the public more strongly about the dangers of raw milk and to test herds that produce it for sale. The FDA will conduct another round of sampling of dairy products, including cheese made from raw milk, but the results of that testing have not yet been released. The FDA study has been submitted to the Journal of Food Protection for publishing consideration. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Tractor Supply Company bows to conservative pressure amid Dengue and Pride controversy. Tractor Supply Company, the largest rural lifestyle retailer in the U.S., has announced that it will eliminate its diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI roles, withdraw its carbon emissions goals, and stop sponsoring Pride events. This decision comes after a weeks-long pressure campaign from conservative activists, led by music video director and unsuccessful Republican candidate Robbie Starbuck, who called for a boycott of the company due to its perceived support of DEI initiatives and climate change activism. The company stated it has heard from customers who are disappointed and has taken this feedback to heart. Tractor Supply's decision is part of a broader trend in which conservative activists have successfully pressured companies to backtrack on DEI initiatives in recent years. Critics argue that the move sends a harmful message, particularly to LGBTQ+ customers and employees, as it comes during Pride Month. The decision has been met with both praise and criticism. Some have praised the company for taking a stand against what they see as woke priorities, while others have criticized the decision as a step backward for diversity and inclusion. The company's decision to eliminate its DEI roles and goals has been seen as a victory for conservative activists who see DEI initiatives as a threat to their values and beliefs. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. U.S. Soccer and Team Weah confront racism after Copa Copa Rica incident. Team Weah and other members of the U.S. national soccer team were targeted with racist abuse on social media after a 2-1 loss to Panama in the Copa Copa Rica tournament. Weah, who is black, received a red card in the 18th minute for punching a Panama player. The U.S. Soccer Federation condemned the racist comments, expressing deep concern and emphasizing that such behavior has no place in the sport. The Federation reported the abuse to CONMEBOL, the tournament's organizers, and offered mental health services to any player or staff member who needs it. Weah apologized on social media for his actions, acknowledging his loss of composure and expressing his love for the team. The USSF called for a new culture that eradicates racism and offensive content on social media. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Quora's Poe chatbot sparks copyright controversy with the New York Times and Forbes. Quora's chatbot platform, Poe, has raised concerns about copyright infringement by allowing users to download paywalled articles from journalistic outlets. Users can input the URL of a paywalled article into Poe's assistant bot and receive a detailed summary and a downloadable HTML file of the entire article. This includes articles from outlets such as the New York Times, Bloomberg Businessweek, and Forbes. Quora disputes the copyright infringement claims, comparing Poe to a cloud storage service. However, observations have been made of servers identifying themselves as Quora bots accessing websites immediately after using Poe's chatbot prompts. Quora states that the AI models used on Poe are provided by third parties and is willing to work with publications to prevent paywalled content from being accessed through their platform. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Supreme Court's new ruling and impact on Capitol riot cases, including Trump's. The Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 to limit a federal obstruction law that has been used to charge Capitol riot defendants, including former President Donald Trump. The court determined that the charge of obstructing an official proceeding must require proof that defendants tampered with or destroyed documents, which only applies to some of the individuals involved in the January 6 attack on the Capitol. The majority of the approximately 1,000 people convicted or pleading guilty to riot-related crimes were not charged with obstruction and will not be affected by the ruling. However, this decision is likely to be used by Trump and his allies to claim unfair treatment by the Justice Department. The impact of the ruling on Trump's own case in Washington, which includes charges other than obstruction, remains unclear. The decision may result in some defendants seeking new sentences, withdrawing guilty pleas, or having charges dropped. This ruling is expected to slow down cases in an already overloaded court system that is dealing with numerous January 6 defendants. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Hurricane Beryl forms, Caribbean prepares. Invest 94L on the move. Tropical Depression 2 has formed in the tropical Atlantic and is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm and possibly a hurricane as it moves west towards the Caribbean. The system will be named Hurricane Beryl if its sustained winds reach at least 74 miles per hour. Currently located east-southeast of the Windward Islands, it is not currently a threat to any landmasses. However, it is expected to continue strengthening and reach the Windward Islands by the end of the weekend. The National Hurricane Center suggests that hurricane or tropical storm watches may be required for parts of the region within the next 24 hours. Additionally, Another disturbance called Invest 94L is moving towards Central America and southern Mexico, potentially bringing heavy rainfall. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Iowa Supreme Court upholds 6-week abortion ban amidst national debate. Iowa's highest court has upheld a 6-week ban on abortion, aligning with a wave of recent rulings tightening abortion access post the U.S. Supreme Court's decision last year to remove federal safeguards for the procedure. The law prohibits abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, coinciding with the detection of fetal cardiac activity. This measure, enacted by the Republican legislature in 2023, faced challenges, with Planned Parenthood securing a temporary injunction permitting abortions up to 22 weeks. The Supreme Court's 4-3 decision upheld the law's constitutionality, overturning a prior restraining order. The ruling has reshaped Iowa's reproductive health landscape, compelling most women to seek abortion services out of state, as around 4,000 Iowa women annually opt for abortions. The law allows exceptions for rape, incest, or life-threatening situations. Governor Kim Reynolds praised the ban, emphasizing the sanctity of life and advocating for policies supporting strong families through adoption and fertility treatments. Conversely, the Iowa Democratic Party criticized the court's move, condemning the ban as an infringement on women's reproductive rights established over decades. Abortion providers, anticipating the ruling, strategically planned to ensure continued care for patients, including expanding services in neighboring states. The law's restrictions, limiting abortions to a stage when many are unaware of pregnancy, only permit exceptions for timely reporting of sexual assault or life-endangering situations. Amidst a national abortion debate, various court decisions have influenced access to the procedure. In Idaho, emergency abortions have resumed pending further legal proceedings, while the U.S. Supreme Court sustained access to mifepristone. State-level rulings in Florida and Arizona have impacted abortion regulations, with a growing number of states imposing stringent bans. Iowa's history of abortion legislation includes a previously blocked ban in 2018 and the recent contested 6-week restriction. Despite ongoing legal battles and societal divisions, most Iowans support legal abortion in the majority of cases. The issue's complexity and significance were evident as abortion opponents rallied at the Iowa Capitol ahead of the anticipated court ruling. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Uvaldi tragedy fallout. Arredondo charged with child endangerment. The former school district police chief in Uvaldi, Texas, Pete Arredondo, has been arrested and charged with 10 counts of child endangerment following the 2022 elementary school shooting at Robb Elementary School that resulted in the deaths of 21 people, including 19 children. The indictment alleges that Arredondo failed to properly respond to the shooting, including not identifying it as an active shooter incident and delaying the response by law enforcement officers. This failure led to the endangerment of children, who were placed in imminent danger of bodily injury, death, physical impairment, and mental impairment. The charges come after a grand jury investigation into the botched law enforcement response to the shooting, which was widely criticized for its poor coordination and training. Arredondo, who was the incident commander during the shooting, is accused of failing to follow the school district's active shooter response policy and failing to develop an immediate action plan, leaving law enforcement officers without clear information or direction. The Justice Department previously released a report highlighting deficiencies in coordination, training, and execution of active shooter protocols. The indictment marks the first criminal charges brought against law enforcement for the botched response to the shooting. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. CDC issues dengue alert. 2023 sees surge in U.S. cases and prevention tips. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has issued a public health alert due to a surge in dengue virus infections in the United States this year. Many countries, especially in the Americas, are reporting higher than usual cases of dengue virus, with a record-breaking 9.7 million cases reported between January and June 2023. In the U.S., There have been 2,241 dengue cases reported between January and June 24, compared to 3,306 cases in all of 2023. Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, has been particularly affected, with 1,498 cases reported this year. There are currently no approved antiviral medications to treat dengue, and symptoms can range from mild to severe. The CDC recommends individuals to prevent mosquito bites using EPA-approved repellents, wearing long-sleeved clothing, and controlling mosquitoes in and around the home by eliminating water-filled containers. Healthcare providers are advised to increase suspicion of dengue in patients with fever who have traveled to areas with high dengue transmission. Timely reporting of dengue cases and promotion of mosquito bite prevention measures are also emphasized. Additional information and prevention tips can be found on the CDC website. To protect themselves from dengue, travelers can take several steps. They should use EPA-registered insect repellents, such as DEET, picaridin, or oil of lemon eucalyptus, and apply them according to the product's instructions. Wearing long-sleeved shirts and long pants, especially during peak mosquito hours, can also help. Treating clothing and gear with permethrin, a chemical that repels and kills mosquitoes, is another effective measure. Keeping mosquitoes out of hotel rooms or lodgings by using air conditioning, window and door screens, and mosquito nets can also reduce the risk of bites. If bitten by a mosquito, individuals should seek medical care immediately if they develop symptoms such as fever, nausea, vomiting, rash, headache, eye pain, joint and muscle pain, or low white blood cell counts. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Alec Baldwin's Rust trial and involuntary manslaughter charge update. Alec Baldwin has lost his last-ditch effort to dismiss the involuntary manslaughter charge against him in the fatal shooting on the set of his film Rust. The judge, Mary Marlowe Summer, denied Baldwin's plea to have the charge thrown out, stating that the determination of Baldwin's state of mind leading to the incident is a matter for the jury to decide during the trial. The trial, scheduled to start on July 9th with jury selection, will address the events that unfolded when Baldwin, 66, discharged a prop gun during a scene rehearsal in Bonanza City, New Mexico, resulting in the death of film cinematographer Helena Hutchins and director Joel Souza injured. Baldwin has consistently maintained that he did not pull the trigger and does not know how live ammunition ended up in the prop gun. His lawyers argued for dismissal due to the destruction of the crucial piece of evidence, the weapon itself, but the judge emphasized that ample evidence exists for the defense, even in the absence of the intact weapon. The trial will also include technical gun analysis and Baldwin's statements to investigators, where he asserted that the gun had no mechanical issues. Baldwin is also entangled in civil lawsuits, notably one filed by Hutchins' family, alleging Baldwin's reckless actions led to the cinematographer's death. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Supreme Court's ruling on homelessness bans, impact and implications. The Supreme Court has ruled that cities can ban homeless individuals from sleeping in public places, overturning lower court rulings that deemed such bans as cruel and unusual punishment. This 6-3 decision allows cities to enforce bans on homeless encampments, even if there is no available shelter space. Cities argued that the lower court rulings restricted their ability to manage public safety and health concerns regarding homeless encampments. Critics of the lower court rulings said they were ambiguous and unworkable, and argued that homelessness requires a more balanced and localized approach. Advocates for the homeless fear that this decision will make life harder for those living on the streets. The ruling only changes current law in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which includes California and 8 other western states, but it will likely influence homelessness policy across the country. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Presidential debate reactions. Obama and Clinton defend Biden's performance. Former President Barack Obama acknowledged that Joe Biden's debate performance was bad, but still urged voters to support him over Donald Trump. Obama acknowledged that bad debate nights happen and referenced his own lackluster debate against Mitt Romney in 2012. Despite Biden's shortcomings, Obama argued that this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary people and someone who only cares about himself. He emphasized the importance of truth, integrity, and the high stakes of the November election. Former President Bill Clinton also defended Biden, highlighting his leadership and accomplishments. Biden himself admitted that he doesn't debate as well as he used to, but expressed his confidence in his ability to do the job. However, doubts about Biden's candidacy arose after his dismal showing in the debate, with 81% of respondents in one poll believing it was time for him to quit the race. Observers like New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman expressed disappointment in Biden's performance, while others, like campaign aide Hank Scheinkoff, praised Trump for being clearer and more entertaining. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Supreme Court overturns Chevron. Business interests triumph over federal regulators. The Supreme Court has overturned the 40-year-old Chevron decision, a move that weakens federal regulators and gives a significant victory to business interests. The ruling, delivered by a 6-3 vote, will have far-reaching effects across the country, particularly in areas such as environmental regulation, public health, workplace safety, and consumer protections. The Chevron doctrine, established in 1984, allowed federal agencies to fill in details when laws were unclear, but critics argued it gave too much power to government experts. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that the Chevron decision was fundamentally misguided, enabling agencies to change course without congressional direction. In contrast, Justice Elena Kagan dissented, predicting that the ruling will cause a massive shock to the legal system. The decision is expected to lead to legal challenges, questioning the expertise of agencies implementing regulations, potentially hindering their ability to address significant challenges effectively. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Iran's election to replace Raisi. Reformists versus hardliners. Iranians voted in a snap election to replace the late hardline president Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash in May. The election featured a three-way competition between hardline contenders Saeed Jalili and Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian, who advocates for a return to the 2015 nuclear deal and improved relations with the West. The election is crucial for Iran's ruling clerics to maintain stability and legitimacy, as the country faces economic challenges, widespread protests, and regional tensions. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has urged maximum voter turnout to offset a legitimacy crisis fueled by public discontent. Pezeshkian, the sole reformist candidate, has vowed to seek friendly relations with the West, while hardliners Jalili and Ghalibaf are expected to maintain the country's stance towards the West. The election is being held amid widespread calls for boycott by dissidents and activists, who believe the election is neither fair nor free. The voting process has been marked by low turnout, with concerns about the government's response to protests and economic hardship leaving many disillusioned. The election is expected to influence the succession of Iran's 85-year-old supreme leader, with the president holding significant influence over the country's stance towards the West. The outcome of the election could also impact Iran's nuclear program and support for militia groups across the Middle East. If no candidate wins at least 50% of the votes, a runoff election between the top two candidates will be held. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Royal drama. Princess Anne's hospitalization and recovery. Princess Anne, the 73-year-old sister of King Charles III, has been discharged from Southmead Hospital in Bristol after spending 5 nights receiving treatment for minor head injuries and a concussion. The Princess Royal was admitted to the hospital on Sunday following an incident involving a horse at her Gatcombe Park estate in Gloucestershire, England. Her medical team reported that her injuries were consistent with being hit in the head by a horse's leg or head, although the exact details of the incident remain unclear. Princess Anne is expected to spend time rehabilitating at home, following standard concussion protocols, before resuming her public duties when her medical team deems it safe. Her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, expressed gratitude to the hospital staff for their care during her brief hospitalization. The Princess Royal's return to public responsibilities will depend on medical advice and her adherence to concussion protocols during rehabilitation. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Aid pier setbacks. U.S. military and UN struggle to deliver Gaza relief. The U.S. military has removed the aid pier built to deliver assistance to Gaza due to weather conditions and may not reinstall it unless aid distribution resumes, according to U.S. officials on Friday. While some food has been successfully delivered through the pier, the majority remains in storage due to attacks on humanitarian convoys attempting to transport it. The UN, which has been responsible for distributing aid, has not been delivering food and emergency supplies since June 9 due to security concerns following an Israeli military raid. The UN's participation in the pier project remains on hold pending the resolution of these concerns. President Joe Biden's $230 million project has faced criticism for being a costly distraction and has experienced setbacks since its implementation in May. Although the U.S. military has installed and reinstalled the pier due to damage caused by rough seas, heavy seas on Friday required its removal and transfer to the Israeli port of Ashdod. The decision to reinstall the pier has not been finalized yet. Discussions are ongoing between the U.S. and aid agencies regarding the distribution of food, with the intention of getting aid into Gaza by all means necessary. However, if there is not enough space in the storage yard, the decision to reinstall the pier may not make sense. The ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, Israeli restrictions on border crossings and attacks on aid convoys have severely limited the flow of food, medicine, and other supplies to Gaza. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Detained lives. Bolivia's political turmoil involving General Juan José Zúñiga and President Luis Arce. Families of the 21 individuals detained in connection with the alleged coup attempt in Bolivia claim that their loved ones were innocent and tricked into participating. The detainees include former General Juan José Zúñiga, who is believed to have led the coup. The families and lawyers of the defendants seek justice for those detained, but are unable to provide details about their cases due to ongoing legal proceedings. Bolivian President Luis Arce has dismissed the family's claims, stating that it is not the government's problem. The allegations and counter-allegations surrounding the coup attempt have caused confusion among the Bolivian people, who are skeptical about the true nature of the events. The political feud between Arce and ex-President Evo Morales has further fueled division and discontent in the country. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. National rallies surge shakes up French politics ahead of election. French far-right extends poll lead as campaign ends. The French far-right National Rally Party, led by Marine Le Pen, has significantly extended its lead in the polls ahead of the country's snap parliamentary election. Recent surveys indicate that the National Rally could secure up to 37% of the vote, potentially giving them between 260 and 295 seats in the National Assembly. This surge in support could lead to a historic parliamentary majority, with significant implications for France's political landscape and European markets. President Emmanuel Macron's centrist bloc is expected to garner around 20% of the vote, while the left-wing New Popular Front is predicted to get around 28%. The far-right's growing popularity appears to stem from feelings of insecurity and the deep polarization of French politics. If no party wins outright, it could lead to a coalition government, which would be a first in France since the Second World War. Analysts caution that the ultimate outcome of France's vote on July 7 remains uncertain due to the intricacies of the country's voting system. Despite potential significant gains in the first round, the National Rally could face obstacles in the final stage if voters resort to tactical voting to block them. The possibility of a far-right or ultra-left majority government could have severe financial implications, potentially triggering an immediate financial crisis. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Iran's presidential showdown. Westward engagement or confrontation. Iran election pits engagement with West against more confrontation. The Wall Street Journal Iranians are voting in a snap presidential election to replace the late President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash in May. The election is marked by a contentious campaign, with candidates vying for control over the presidency and the country's foreign policy. The frontrunners include conservative candidates Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Saeed Jalili, as well as reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian. The election is significant, as it will shape the future of Iran's relations with the West and its stance on the international stage. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Space junk crisis. NASA and Boeing's Starliner shielding ISS crew. The astronauts on the International Space Station, ISS, were forced to take shelter inside the docked Starliner spacecraft after a defunct Russian satellite, Resurs P-1, broke apart in orbit, shattering into over 100 pieces near the space station. The crew took cover for about an hour before being cleared to exit the spacecraft and resume normal operations. This incident highlights the growing problem of space junk in Earth's orbit, which poses risks to both astronauts and satellites. The event also underscores the challenges faced by NASA and Boeing in completing the Starliner mission, which has been delayed due to mechanical issues, including small helium leaks and thruster performance problems. Despite these issues, the spacecraft remains cleared for return in case of an emergency on the space station. This is the news for today, Friday, June 27, 2024. Farage controversy and Reform UK racism scandal. Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, faced intense scrutiny after a video surfaced showing one of his party's activists, Andrew Parker, making racist remarks against Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. During a BBC Question Time session, Farage claimed the video was a setup and suggested Parker might have been paid to make the comments. He distanced himself from other controversial remarks made by Reform UK candidates, stating he had withdrawn his support. Green Party co-leader Adrian Ramsey condemned Parker's comments as horrific and pledged thorough investigations into any concerns raised. The incident sparked widespread outrage, with Prime Minister Sunak expressing distress over the derogatory comments, which impacted his daughters, who witnessed individuals campaigning for Farage using racist language. The police are assessing the footage for potential criminal implications.